Hey, this is Darby Todd. Thought I'd give you a quick rundown of my drum set that I'm using on the Devin Townsend Lightwork Tour 2023. We're out with Dream Theatre and Animals as leaders. This is our penultimate show tonight in Los Angeles. We've been out for 7 weeks and yeah, nearly home, which is good. Anyway, here's my drums. So we've got this amazing British drum company Legend drum set, which is new for this year for me. Just recently switched over to them. The drums sound absolutely amazing. The finish is pretty cool, at least I think it is. So here are the drums. We've got two 22 by 16-inch bass drums. My main one here, and just to upset some of you out there, I'm using a double pedal. Reason for that is I'm used to using a double pedal. I just prefer the feel of it, so that's my thing. Is this drum for show? Yes, it is. We've got 10 by 7 tom up here. 12 by 8, and then for the floor toms we've got 16 by 14 and a massive 18 by 16 on the far side. All of them sound amazing. 100% birch. It's the Legend series that they do. This is pretty cool over here. I'm actually using a 18-inch bass drum which I've turned upside down to use as a gong drum. And what's cool about it is we've found these DW clamps that they make, which are normally designed for cowbells, to mount cowbells off your bass drum. But we kind of worked out that if you just put the clamp on and use regular floor tom legs, you have a floor tom. So this is my 18-inch gong drum. And then coming around the back, come around here, this is kind of the cool view of the drum set. We also have, I tend to swap out my bass drums depending on the, bass drums, snare drums, this is a snare drum. Tend to swap out the snare drum. So for this one we're using the Aviator, which is a 14 by 6.5. This thing sounds amazing, absolutely love it. For a backup snare drum we've been using, and in fact on the last tour we used this as the main drum. This is the British drum company Raven, and this thing sounds fantastic. And the crazy thing about this is a really affordable drum. It's like about 300 English pounds to buy new, 100% birch, and they just haven't cut any corners on it at all. It sounds amazing, just as good as any of the other products that they make. Absolutely love this drum. And actually, while I've got this, a really cool thing, if you want to zoom in, I don't know if you're going to see this on camera, but you can see like on the inside, all the washers and stuff are made out of leftover wood, and they're all engraved with the logo and stuff like that. So kind of the attention to detail on these things is amazing. So that's my backup snare. This is pretty cool. I also use, I've got the Porter & Davis BC2 drum stool. This thing is absolutely life-changing. Here's a stool top, and what happens is our monitor guy sends my bass drum feed into this, which goes into the stool. So when I hit my bass drum, the stool vibrates, and it's kind of like that bone conductivity thing. So it's amazing when I use in-ears on this gig how much better the bass drum sounds in my ears. But this is life-changing, and for some of the Devin Townsend tunes, which are obviously very rapid, I actually don't think I'll be able to play the songs without this in my arsenal. So this is amazing. And then cymbal-wise, I don't know if you want to come up. I'm using, for my main cymbals, we've got 14-inch K session hi-hats, which sound really good. I think they were designed by Steve Gadd. They've been around for ages, but they sound amazing. And then on this side of the kit, we've got a set of 15-inch hats. I've just put fingerprints all over them now. And these are A heavy hi-hats, which actually I don't think they make these anymore, which is a real shame, because they sound amazing. And my drum tech's gonna get really angry with me for doing that. Sorry, mate. Now, over this side, all my cymbals are just regular A's. We've got medium thins. This is a 19, which unfortunately I broke 2 nights ago because I've been hitting it really hard, but luckily my tech has cut it out for me, so it still sounds good. But I just haven't had the chance to get a replacement here yet, but this sounds great. We've got a 17-inch medium thin, which I guess a lot of people would say is a little bit on the small side for a heavy rock gig. But there's something to me about the smaller cymbals. I think they just cut through and sound really good. And then the main crash I hit all the time, this is an 18-inch A medium thin. Again, I love this, it sounds amazing. My ride cymbal is a 20-inch A custom medium ride. I've had this thing for like 20 years, and I just think this cymbal sounds amazing. And in fact, I also used it, we sampled it for the Tune Track Easy X Big Stage. So you can have that sound as well if you've got that pack. But yeah, this is a great cymbal. It's got good wash, good definition, but a really cool bell on it as well. Really cuts through, sounds great. Over this side, we've got a little 6-inch A, yeah, just a regular A custom? No, I think it's a regular A splash. This thing sounds great. And this is one of these new blast bells that Zildjian make, which sound really cool. It's kind of like the old Zill bells, but it doesn't ring quite as much, so you can hit it and it sounds cool. So those are the cymbals. Oh, miss this out. So we have a second china over here. This is a 16-inch Rezo china, which sounds really cool. I like this. It's got shorter attack and it's good for some kind of small accents within the set. Electronic wise, we have the new Roland SPDX Pro. So I pulled some samples of this while we're playing. And in fact, I've also got a trigger here on the Gong Drum, and then I have a trigger on the bass drum, and I've got a trigger on my snare drum here. So regarding the kick samples and the snare samples, we're not really doing it to replace the sound of the drums, because the drums sound amazing. What we're trying to do is, I would say it's probably about 85 to 90% natural sound, and then about 10%, 15% trigger. But what the trigger's really for is just for the reverb trail, because what we find is we're playing so many different venues, size venues, from like massive arenas to theatres, that the sound changes a lot. Whereas if we've got a consistent, when we hit the drum, a consistent reverb tail, it sounds really good. So that's what those are for. And then with the Gong Drum, I'm just using it as a Gong Drum, but there's a couple of points where I also have a sub drop coming off the trigger. So, you know, you go to hit the floor tom, and then this massive explosion comes off it, and it sounds amazing. So those are the drums. We obviously have a few backing tracks with Devin, because the music is so dense in sound. So for now, we've been using a Cymatic Audio playback machine. This one is named Gerald. And then we have a backup down here, just in case things go wrong. This one's called Bertrand. Don't ask me why, they've got weird names. And so all the stuff comes off here. So all the backing tracks, we kind of split it out to like stereo effects, stereo keys, stuff like that. That goes front of house. And for my monitoring, I've got my mixing desk here. So what I tend to do, I can make my own mix up. So I've got stereo drums, so I can, you know, if I need more just drum kit, I can change that. I've got stereo band, again, if I need to just quickly change the level during the set, I can. Track is backing tracks. I like to have my kick drum on separate faders, just because there's certain songs where I may want to boost it so I can hear more kick drum, or there's certain songs where I may even want to pull it back. I find when I'm playing the really fast double bass drum stuff, I tend to turn it down a little bit, whereas some of the songs like Deadhead, which are like really big and slow and boomy, it's kind of nice to turn it up and feel it a bit more. And then the other thing I have is just click. So there's a couple of points in the set where I might boost the click so that you can hear that a little bit better. So I think that's the whole of the drum set. Oh, and also a little hack for anyone that's interested. I'm always hardwired with my in-ears, and I find that if I'm going into a pack or I have a thing stuck here, the cable tends to get stuck under my bum, which is really annoying because it pulls it out of the ears. So we found if we put a little mic stand behind me and plug the in-ears into this, that eradicates that problem, so that's really cool. And then the only other thing, I guess, to show you is that we have over here all my protection racket cases, and a lot of people have said, oh, how can you stick these things on an airplane, you know, they're going to get destroyed. But these are actually the AAA versions of the cases. So like if you have a look at these, they're amazing. They're rock hard, and they have, you know, like sort of a half-inch thick heavy wall in there. So, you know, it doesn't matter, I could take my drum and do that and it's going to be fine. At least I hope it is. And I forgot to mention a couple of things on my drum set, so let me just quickly finish this off. Pedal wise, I'm using the Tama Dynasonics, which is the direct drive. Until now, I've never been a fan of direct drives, but these feel really nice, and the adjustments allow you to make them slightly more like a regular chain-driven pedal. So they're really cool, and I find I'm able to play in those faster than I can on a regular pedal. I also, I missed out my China, which is a Zildjian 18-inch Oriental China. Love this thing. I think it's possibly my favorite sounding china that Zildjian do, at least for me. It sounds amazing. And drum head wise, because that's very important. All Remo, I love my Remo heads. On the tops, I'm using clear Emperors for all the drums. On the bottoms, I'm using Ambassador Ebonies, which are the glossy black ones. Normally I would use clear Ambassadors, but we just felt with the orange kit that the black heads just make it pop a bit more and look kind of cool. So that's really cool. Also, probably the most important thing on any drum set is my cowbell. So this is an really old Ridge Rider LP cowbell that I got when I was about 10 years, many years ago, and I still have it. So 10 years old till now, I'm still playing this cowbell. And the funny thing is, we were going to use a sample because we only hit this about 8 times in the entire set, but why do that when you can have the real thing? So I think that's everything that I missed on the drum set. Bass drum heads, just clear power stroke 3s on the bass drums. I think they sound amazing. They're my favorite bass drum heads. I also like the ones with the black dots on them as well, because it feels like it lowers the tone of the drum a little bit. But for now I'm using the clears. And then over on the Gong Drum, we've got a power stroke 3 with the black dot, which again, as I said before, just makes the tone go a bit lower. And I think the only final thing to mention that we've been using on this tour is we've been using Audix mics for the whole thing. And Chris, our sound, oh look at that, he miraculously pops up. This is Chris Edrich, our sound man. He's absolutely amazing. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of the mics we're using on the tour?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a D6 in the kickout, ADX60 in the kickish, D2s and D4s in the toms, D6 in the Gong Drum. Yeah, that's the kickout. Kicking is a bit buried in there, but like, yeah, anyways. We have SCX ones for hats and ride.
And the overheads.
And SCX 25s for overheads, which are like fucking brilliant. And obviously, high 5 on snare top and a D2 on snare bottom. And that's about it, I guess.
And they make my drums sound amazing. So one final addition for my drum set this year is I've added these Cympads, the chromatic Cympads. These are really cool. Not only do they match the aesthetic of my orange drum set, but they stop some of the nasty sounds that you sometimes get down the cymbal stand, so they're really cool. Another thing they do, which sometimes we have trouble with, is some cymbals can kind of stand out a bit too loud in certain rooms. So they do these things called moderators, which are these cymbal felts. And what's really cool about these is that they mute the sound of the cymbal ever so slightly and bring the level down without actually ruining the sound of the cymbal, so it still retains the tone. So yeah, Cympads, loving these as well. So that's my kit. Hope you've enjoyed it. I think it looks pretty cool. So we're about to wheel it on stage in about 20 minutes, do our sound check and play our LA show. So thanks.